Setting up sales tax in QuickBooks in itself is not a challenge. It's basically 4 steps. We need to enable the sales tax features for a company file. We need to check to be sure that the sales tax codes are correct. We need to create our own sales tax items and then apply those items to our customers. That's not the challenging part. The challenge is ensuring that we set up all of the taxes that we need to collect for all of the jurisdictions that are applicable to all of our products and services that we sell in each and every location in which we sell them. That sounds cumbersome, but things like this are always easier if we break them down into their component parts. All we really need to know how to do is how to enable the sales tax features and then how to create our items. Let's start by making sure sales tax is enabled for our company file. There are a couple of ways to access it, but one of them is to activate the Edit menu from the top left of the screen, come all the way down to the bottom, and choose Preferences. In the categories that appear along the left-hand side, which are alphabetical, we should be able to find sales tax. When sales tax is activated, we then need to move to the top center of the screen and activate the Company Preferences tab. The primary thing that we need to do is make sure that the very first option, Do you charge sales tax, is set to Yes. This will enable the features we need, as well as create a couple of accounts in the chart of accounts, including a sales tax liability account. If this is the first time that was set up, we will be prompted to add a sales tax item. We'll do this a little bit later, but know that it can be done right here from within the preferences as well. One of the things that QuickBooks needs to know is which items are taxable and which are not, so that it can properly calculate. There are really only two designations, and if we use the sales tax codes that come with QuickBooks, they will be very intuitive. The taxable item code is tax, and the non-taxable code is non. You will notice that we can actually add our own codes, but these work very well, and there really aren't a whole lot of reasons or times when we would need to modify them or create our own. One of the really important questions is whether we calculate our sales tax on an accrual or a cash basis. If we remember all the way back to when we created our company file, we also had to designate how we did our business. But this one isn't up to us. Our taxing authority is going to tell us if we need to use the accrual basis, which means we have to calculate and pay based on invoice date, as opposed to the cash basis, which means only when we receive payment on those invoices. Lastly, we need to designate if we need to pay our taxes monthly, quarterly, or annually. And this again will be determined by your taxing agencies. We don't have a whole lot to say about it. So after we enable those features, or at least come in and review them, we can either say OK or cancel. Now we're ready to move on to the second step, which is to review the codes. Now we actually did this just a moment ago, but another way that we can do it is to go to our list menu and select Sales Tax Code List about halfway down. It is simple, tax and non for taxable sales and non-taxable sales. This is just a QuickBooks list, so if any modifications needed to be made, we can do so in the normal ways. We'll close that out. And the good news is we've done 2 out of 4 steps. That means we're halfway done, right? Well, actually, those are the simple steps. So now we're going to get into the details. And the first thing we need to do is we need to set up our own sales tax items. Sales tax items are just like any other item that we work with. If we go to our list menu and choose the item list, and we'll go ahead and maximize it so we have enough room that we can see everything, we know that we can create new items by moving to the bottom left of the screen, displaying the item menu, and choosing New. We also could press Control N, or we could right-click anywhere in the list and choose New as well. The form opens with the Type menu already displayed. Many of these you may be familiar with, but if we look carefully, all the way at the bottom, we have both a sales tax item and a sales tax group. We're going to create a sales tax item. Now we're ready to go. The first thing we need to do is create a name for this particular sales tax. This is a California construction company, but let's say they may need to do some business next door in Arizona. So we'll call it AZ State Tax. Normally, we take time to put in a description, but in this case, we're just going to enter a tax rate. Let's say that currently it's 7.25%. Next, we have to designate to whom we're going to be paying the tax, and that, of course, is going to be the taxing agency. If we're just setting up a tax, the likelihood is that they will not be in our list. So we'll go ahead and click Add New. And we'll do a quick setup by just typing in Arizona Tax Commission. We're not going to take time to fill out all of the information, so we'll just say OK. And that really is all there is to it. We'll click OK again on the top right, and we've just set up our tax item. Now, what we would need to do is set up each of those items for every jurisdiction and every tax that needs to be collected based on where we do business and how we do business. See, we promised that this would be easy, and we did not lie. Here's a little tip though. If we need to pay multiple taxes on a regular basis, that's when we would want to create the new item, and we would create it as a sales tax group. A sales tax group can have multiple individual sales tax items. All of those taxes can then be applied as one item, making all of this a bit easier. When multiple sales tax items are included in a group and the group is applied to a customer, then QuickBooks does the math for all of them at once. So if we needed to pay 7.25% in state tax and an additional 3% in local tax, QuickBooks would do the calculation and apply 10.25% sales tax on the entire transaction. This not only makes assigning items to customers easier, it also simplifies invoices as only one tax item is displayed and not an entire laundry list of all the taxes being charged. For some customers, that can be overwhelming, and it just makes them mad. So now we've completed 3 of our 4 steps. What is the last step? To actually assign a tax item to a customer. So we will go ahead and close out of our item list. And from our home page, we'll go ahead and click Customers to bring up our Customer Center. And we'll just open up one of our customers. In this case, we'll go ahead and do E. Olson. And from the left side of the form, on the Sales Tax Settings tab, we can see that this customer is taxable. But now we can also apply a specific tax item. In this case, Arizona state tax. We can say OK to save the changes. And to just kind of round this out and show that everything is in place, we'll go ahead and move to the top of the Customer Center and create a new invoice for this customer. Now we'll just move down and select an item, maybe some cabinets. As soon as we select an item that was marked as taxable and the customer is marked as taxable, we can see that the appropriate tax item has been added, it displays the percentage, and it will be calculated into the total due for this particular invoice. We're not going to actually create this invoice, so we'll just say OK to the fact that there's not enough quantity on hand to sell. We'll clear the invoice, which is just a habit of mine, before we move to the upper right-hand corner and simply close out of the invoice itself. Establishing sales tax items and applying them to customers is not the most difficult thing we have to do. Using sales tax groups can help us if we deal with a lot of state, county, and local combinations. The good news is QuickBooks does all of the heavy lifting for us. Anytime a transaction takes place, QuickBooks monitors which items should be taxed and then refers to the customer setting to see if they are taxable or not. Other than collecting the taxes at the time of the sale, the only thing left for us to do is to produce sales tax reports and, of course, pay the liabilities when the time comes.